Hello, I'm Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels, and today we're going to be working on this DAIWA 7290C spinning reel. And we're going to take it apart, clean it, service it, and get it back into full operation. It actually works pretty good. It's just a little bit stiff, that's all. I think it's just got some old grease in it. And we're going to start off by removing the spool. Now, I've made it a habit lately of changing the line on all of my reels, but I think because most of these reels that I'm doing are just going to be sitting for long periods of time, I think once I get done I'm just going to strip the lines off of them and leave it off so they can be loaded up with whoever wants to put on. Alright, so we got that done, got the spool off. Let's go ahead and remove the handle. Now, they kind of faked it a little bit on this handle. It makes it look like this handle can be taken and turned around back inside, but it really can't. It's just a fake knob on here. This is all molded in. This is a kind of, I think it's fairly low budget 70s DAIWA, and let's go ahead and take the screws out of the cover. The screws out of the cover, we should be able to remove the cover. Well, I said it's old, got old grease, but it appears to be more dry than it is anything else. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove this pin on the crosswind block. Set that to the side. With that done, we should now be able to slide the axle shaft out. Alright. And remove the crosswind block. And there's a little grease in here, but not a lot. It's pretty old. Alright, normally your rotors come off by removing a nut up here. This one doesn't have a nut on top. You look at it, it's been swedged in. So what we do is we flip it back over and look at the bottom side. Right here, we're going to find there is a keyed plate right there. Alright. Now, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. This plate is not exactly flat. It's supposed to be flat, but it isn't all the way flat. But let me show you what happens when it's all the way flat. Alright, with it all the way flat, we're going to slip it back in. Alright, look at how much play is in that rotor. Alright, so what's happened, someone has come in and they've taken that plate and they've added a slight bend to it. With the slight bend in it, I can probably put a little more than that in it. With that slight bend in it, look, that took up almost all the play in that rotor. So that's what they've done. Let's take that out. And remove the rotor. Now we're going to inspect and clean all the teeth on here. They look pretty good, but we're going to do it anyway. Alright, we're going to do the same thing with this. Now, you've got an anti-reverse on here. Right now I've got it disabled. When you turn it on, you hear that click. Okay, we're going to take that off before we take that gear out. Okay, clicking's gone, it's removed. Now we can push the gear up and out. And that gives us another part to clean. Now, unless you're just experiencing a problem with your anti-reverse, there's no reason to take this apart. You could take this screw out and remove this, but there's no need to. Now what we've got, if you look, I'm going to zoom in so you can see better. Alright, what you've got a spring here. It's wedged in back here. It's wedged, it goes around this screw head and then comes over here, and this side has got a hook on it. And that hook sits behind the anti-reverse over here. When you flip the switch, this cam right here moves over and it allows the anti-reverse dog to come over and engage the teeth and the gear in the main gear. And as it clicks by, it pops on each one of them. We're going to clean that, add a little bit of oil to it or grease, and that will be functional. Alright, here's our bail, our rotor with our bail. We're going to zoom back out again. We're not going to go real far. Okay, that should be enough. Alright, this is our rotor with our bail. And this screw right here holds the bail trip right here. Now, what happens, if you look at the bottom side here, this is where your rotor fits. It fits on here. And as this rotates around, if this bail is up, when it rotates around, it gets to this point right here. And when it does, that trip right there catches on this post right here. So this post right here catches right here on the bail release. When that turns, it hits that and trips the bail. Okay, this bail seems to be working beautifully. Since it is, we're not going to take it off. All we're going to do is oil it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is clean all these parts up, and we're going to go into fast forward to do that. And I won't be talking during that. As soon as that's over, we'll come back and we'll put it back together. At this point, we're ready to start assembling. First thing we're going to do is install the main gear back into the case. We're going to add some fishing reel grease to it here. We're going to put a drop of oil on the shaft. And we're going to slip that back down into the case and flip on the anti-revert. Nope. Alright, remember earlier I showed you where that spring was and how it fit behind there? Well, during the cleaning process, that spring popped loose. So we're going to take it, move it back around behind it. Click it back on. That's why it's important to check to make sure things are working properly. Okay, flip the switch. There we go. Everything's back on. We're going to go ahead and turn it off for now and leave it like that. Now we're going to put some grease on the main gear. It's important to grease this entire gear, not just the teeth, but this entire area here, because on this surface rides our crosswind block. Okay, with the main gear installed, we're going to now install the rotor. First thing we need to do on the rotor is go ahead and lubricate the shaft, the body casing, all the way around on the shaft, and the pinion gear. Install that in. Reinstall that clip I showed you earlier. There we go. Now we've got a nice smooth rotor. Turns freely. Alright. With that installed, we're ready to move on to the crosswind block. Lubricate your crosswind block. Make sure you've got this gear lubricated. Set it back in place. With that in place, we're now going to install the axle shaft. It slips in from the end down here. Align it into your crosswind block and then slide it down until you can see the hole. Once you can see the hole, you're ready to install the pin. Like that. Okay. Make sure that your crosswind block is installed with the pin at the back side, not at the front, because that'll keep it from being able to hit this gear. On this particular one, I don't think it's close enough to hit, but better safe than sorry. That's the way it's supposed to be installed. Besides which, if you put it around the other way, it will change the level of your spool. Ready to put the cover back on? Get all three screws started before tightening them all the way down. Now we're ready to put the handle back on. Now we're going to add some oil to your bail wire and your trip assembly. We're going to put some inside here too. Okay, and a drop on this end. Now, what's going to happen if you put that on there and spin this handle real fast, this rotor is going to turn around real fast and centrifugal force is going to sling that oil out and into your face or onto your shirt. So give it a minute, work it in. Make sure that it's moving smoothly. If it feels gritty when you're doing this, then you're going to probably have to take the bail assembly off. But if it doesn't, leave it alone. Just lubricate it and leave it be. Once you've worked it in good, come back, take off your excess oil, and then to help keep that oil in this fitting right here, I like to come back and add a little grease over it. Kind of acts a little bit like a seal on there. Keep the oil sealed in. All right, that's done. We're ready to move on to our rotor. Our rotor, in the top of it, has this hex spring in here. You're going to hook onto one side of it. Make sure to keep a thumb or a finger over this hex spring to keep it from popping out. Remove the hex. Well, this one's more of a C spring than a hex spring, but principle's the same. Okay, once you've got it there, let's go ahead and remove your drag washers. There's the top drag washer. Wow, nice big fat felt washer. And that's it. That's all this thing has for drag washers inside. Okay, so we're going to spray a little WD-40 in here. Spray it onto the spool. And I'm not afraid of getting it on the line because we're going to replace the line. This is a Bakelite spool, it appears. And getting a little WD-40 on it seems to be helping to clean it, but I don't believe it'll hurt it any. This is your clicker here on the bottom for your drag, and you'll hear that in just a few minutes. Alright, once you've got it cleaned, wipe it off. Make sure to clean down inside where the drag washers go. Then this has got a felt washer. It's pliable, but this is supposed to be oiled. So once you've got it down in there, add a few drops. And I say few, I mean 3. Put yourself 3 drops of oil on there. Let it soak in a minute so that it evenly distributes throughout. Clean this top drag washer. This is the keyed washer, which is all that's in this one. One keyed washer. And it goes back on the top. Now we're ready to put the spring back on. When you put it on, make sure that part of it goes over this hole that's on here so you can get it back out later. Okay, so slip it in. You need a little help from a screwdriver, that's fine, but get it down into the slot like that. Once you've done that, let's come back, put a little bit of grease down here on your spring. Put a little bit of grease on your cog here on the axle shaft. Slip your spool back on. Hear the clicker? Alright. Tighten your drag nut down. This one needs a little bit of cleaning. Just a little dust down in the corners. Tighten the drag nut down. Okay. This is why I leave line on these so I can test the drag afterwards. Okay. Trip the bail. And let's see if the drag works. Loosen it up a little bit. There we go. Tighten it down some more. Very nice. Loosen it more and no drag. Okay. Alright. And like I said, I'm going to be removing all this line off of here. Because most likely this reel is going to be going into storage until somebody wants to take it fishing. And at that time, we will come back, put some line on it, whatever test they're ready for. Nice reel. Let's go ahead and add a drop of oil down inside the handle screw. And there you have it. The DAIWA 7290C. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you dislike what you saw, by all means hit the dislike button. But I would appreciate it if you tell me what you didn't like. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. I'm trying to do one a day until I run out of reels, and then I'm trying to buy more off of eBay all the time, so we'll see how that goes. Till then, this is Rick Stivers with YoungMartin'sReels signing off.